resolved during the year. Some of us do use 3 people during the year, but the majority of our games in high school baseball are two-person games. So Lenny and Andy Catellus has agreed to go ahead and put on this presentation. The slides will be sent to you after the meeting. They'll be sent to the chapter secretaries. They'll be sent to everybody that's on my WPL Arbiter so that you can print them up or bring them with you when you have your game. Okay. A couple of things I want to go over. Okay. The introductions, everybody here, as you know, I'm Nick Murray. I'm the District 7 Male Officials Rep. I'm ending my first term, and thank you for electing me to my second term, as I will continue on through the 2024 season, and I want to thank you for that. We also have Vince Sortino. Vince is the WPL Assistant Executive Director. Vince, do you have anything to say? Unmute yourself, Vince.
I just did. Thanks, Nick.
All right.
Nick, I just wanted to thank everyone for another good year. I know the weather's been really tough out there on the teams and everyone, and I want to wish everyone good luck moving into the playoffs. Just a couple things that I've dealt with throughout the year, a couple areas. The suspended games. We were getting a lot of calls. I was getting a lot of calls in the office with officials letting teams know in the second, third, fourth inning, even when games were well in hand, especially when games were well in hand in the sixth inning, let's say, with the home team up, that they were suspended games. And I had to let the officials in the schools know they were, in fact, games that were complete. So just so that you know, we're still following the same rules coming into the playoffs, that if the home team's up after 4.5 innings, or the home team or 4 innings have finished and you're into the sixth inning, that the game will be complete. We're not picking up and extending, having teams come back to finish games. The other thing that's we've already had probably a half a dozen forfeits for pitch counts. And that's not really something that you need to be involved in the discussion of that, other than to let the I've told the teams, I think it's a good idea that the people keeping the pitch counts actually check every half inning. If I was the coach, I would be telling them to do that. A lot of people tell them at the end of every inning. If it were me, and my advice to everyone is check every half inning. And that way there's no issues or problems. If there are issues or problems, the bottom line is it's the home team book that would determine what that pitch count is. So in the end, if we have had controversies of the home team's books not correct and the visitors' books correct, the bottom line, the rule says we had to go back to the home team book to verify that, and that's what we use in the game. So, make it maybe in the pregame to let your teams know to check, have those people check every half inning or so everyone's on the same page. We don't run into a problem with pitch counts during a playoff game, and it'll get ugly. Any problems or issues during any of the games on how to end a game, hopefully there's no instances where there's people coming off the benches or fighting or any of those type of things. Make a call to Nick, or you could make a call to me. Nick will call me right away, and we'll have a discussion on what to do with that game, rather than just walking off the field or making a decision that might not be the correct decision. Take that off of yourself, make a phone call, and we'll try to get you the correct information on what to do and how to complete or finish that game. Other than that, Nick, I really, those are really the two things that I've been dealing with baseball and softball, especially the suspended game this year. If anyone has any questions, I can answer them at this time.
Anybody have any questions for Vince? Okay, for those, Vince, thank you for your time. Those that have the opportunity to work down at Washington Wild Things Field will more than likely meet Vince down there, as he will probably be down there the first day. I don't know about the second day, but it'll definitely be the first day. So thanks, Vince, for your time, and thanks for all you do for us in the WPIL. Our the next person I want to introduce will be Andy, and then Andy Catellis is the PIAA rules interpreter. Lenny Leeper is the WPIL baseball rules interpreter. They will be coming up with their presentations in a few minutes. I just have a few things I want to talk about. The WPIL baseball playoffs will be May 16th through June 1st. Okay, please block all your dates you cannot work. Start times may be anywhere from 12 noon to 7 o'clock. Please block accordingly. Okay, I know some people work night turn and want to work those 12 o'clock games. By all means, we're going to need 12 o'clock people. All right, so basically block accordingly. You see the dates when we're going to play. If you're blocked, I will not try to schedule you through it. But if you're open, I'll try to give you a game at that time. Now, you can partially block the day, and you can partially block the time. You can block 9 to 5. You can block 8 to 4. You can block, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. or whatever. So you could do that. Okay. So I would ask you, once you get done here, once we get off here, get on the WPIL Arbiter site and please block dates accordingly. Okay, all game fees will be paid via Arbiter Pay on June 2nd. Once the games are done June 1st, Diana is our administrative assistant in the office. She will hit the button and every game will be paid for on June 2nd. So don't call the office asking for pay. Don't call me asking for pay. Everything will be done on one day. Please accept the games ASAP. Okay, why that's important is this way, I don't have to wait until to see if people are going to accept games or not, and it makes my life a whole lot easier. Okay, if inclement weather is forecasted for that day, please check Arbiter before you leave for your assignment. Okay, I may be like right up to the last minute canceling games depending upon what fields you're playing on. So instead of you trying to make that trip out there, check Arbiter, and more than likely than not, if the game is canceled, you will get it canceled. And I will do everything in my power to put you back on that game if possible. Okay, home plate umpire will be the crew chief. Okay, the base umpires, the home plate umpire will be the crew chief. The base umpires will call the home plate umpire and confirm the assignment. Home plate umpires, if you don't hear from your base umpires, let me know, and we will remove them from the game even though they accepted the assignment. This is important because I want you to guys to at least arrive 45 minutes before the scheduled pitch start. Talk about where at the game site you're going to meet, and then home plate umpire will conduct the pregame. Okay, like I said, these slides I will give you once Andy and Lenny get done. I will send these slides via the WPIL Arbiter to the people that I have that have been recommended by their assigners and schools. And those people that have not been recommended, I will send them to your chapter secretary and the president, so you could see what we covered tonight. Okay, like I said, if inclement weather affects a game before a winner can be determined, the game will be suspended. That's what Vince was talking about. Okay, so if we have to, if in the fourth inning or the third inning, rain comes in or lightning comes in, and remember, lightning is anytime you hear thunder or see lightning, okay, you've got to suspend the game. Now, most people will have some sort of a monitor there that the trainer or whatever will help. Most sites will have some sort of monitor there that the trainer or the site manager will help you out with. Once you've suspended, remember the rules for suspensions. You have to wait for 30 minutes until the next as long as there's no lightning bolts. Lightning bolts, thunder doesn't matter. It is lightning bolts. Okay, so make sure that somebody's standing there, not standing there, but somebody's in your car or whatever, or somebody's in the locker room or dugout or whatever, watching lightning bolts, and you could talk about that in pregame with your site manager. Okay. If inclement weather affects the game after 4.5 innings and a winner can be determined, the game is complete. However, if inclement weather is imminent, please try and allow the athletes every opportunity for a complete contest. And I know this is what Andy's going to talk about too, in a special situation. I think Lenny may do the same thing. If in the fourth inning, that there are rain clouds coming in, and basically within the next 10 minutes you're going to get doused with showers or whatever. Don't allow that team to bat in the bottom of the fourth or the top of the fifth, and try to let every opportunity get the game in a full 7 innings, okay, rather than suspend it, rather than complete it. If for some reason you start that 6th inning, and then all of a sudden that visiting team scores 2 or 3 runs and takes the lead, then we got to revert back to the 5th inning. Just do your best. You guys do it all year, but just remember that we're trying to get the complete 7 in. However, if you don't get the complete 7 in and we can have a winner by 4.5 innings, then the game is a completed game. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. Pitch counters. Okay, pitch counts are not our concerns. Make sure coaches are getting together each half inning. I know at the WPL final down at Wild Things, and I think at the Consolations, we will have pitch counters employed by the WPIL. Okay, make sure that those coaches, and we'll do that when we get down to WPIL finals, but make sure that during your pregame that you know that we have nothing to do with the pitch counts, and it's all the home and visit. It's a home book on neutral sites. Okay, so basically make sure that visiting book gets with a home book after every half inning to make sure the pitch counts are correct. You don't have anything to worry about. Just make sure that those coaches are getting together. Any issues, you see you have my phone number there. Okay, most of you guys know me. Please remember that the student athletes have competed all year to enter our WPL baseball tournament. Work hard, know the rules, have fun, and plate umpires. Bottom line, please call strikes. Okay, we don't need 3.5-hour games, 4-hour games by somebody using a Pringle can for a guide around home plate. Most of you know that have worked with me know that I at least give a ball inside outside. We got to get the kids swinging. If the thing I always hate to see is when the catcher's set up and he doesn't even move for the pitch, and we ball it because it's an 1/8 of an inch inside, or we ball it because it's an 1/8 of an inch outside. Please call strikes, guys. That's all I'm asking for the home plate umpires. Okay, so the next person we'll do is Lenny Leeper. Lenny will now do his presentation. Let me get his. I got to share my screen. And Lenny is going to go over the 3-man mechanics. Okay. All right, let me do slideshow. From the beginning. Okay, Lenny, it's all yours.
Okay, Nick, thank you. And thank you and Andy both for putting the majority of this together. I think it's going to be very worthwhile for everybody. You gentlemen have worked 3-man during the course of the year. This will be reviewed for you, but others, this will be a good system to go down through. Go down through relatively quick. It's self-explanatory. It's on there. So let's get rolling. As Nick said, we'll try to keep you under an hour. Excuse me. Okay, pregame duties, a crew chief shall. Nick, it just went away on me.
Lenny, is it there now?
Just went away on me, Nick. Hang on.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me try sharing again.
Okay.
Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yep, I got it now, Nick. It came back.
All right, good.
Thank you. Okay, real simple. The crew chief shall call his crew. Now, as Nick mentioned before, he wants the base umpires doing that. Regardless, there should be 3 phone calls somewhere. Make sure you're all on the same page. As Nick mentioned, 45 minutes would be great. If you can make it an hour, that's even better. We're going to talk about dress code, where you want to park. I suggest parking in the same area as you come and go as you leave the game together is for sure. Make sure that you determine a second person to take the plate. In case you're the plate umpire, you get injured, incapacitated, someone needs to take over. Again, anywhere from 45 minutes an hour. Make sure you report to the site manager at the time so that he knows that you're there. Report also that your crew is there at the time, and they'll determine for you at that time what time they want you at home plate. Now, if there's games in front of you where there might be multiple games, you may not start on time. You'll just have to deal with that, but just stay in touch with your site manager. Okay, your appearance, pretty simple here. Pullover shirts with a PIAA patch and left sleeve. Your US flag may be worn on the right sleeve. If it's cool enough, if the weather's cool, a solid navy jacket. If the plate man wears a jacket, the base umpires may wear one as all. By all means, if it's cool, stay warm. Charcoal gray pants. Heather gray is no longer mentioned in the PIAA dress code. So if you don't have charcoal gray, I would suggest that you get some. Black shoes, white markings are not permitted. The only thing I will say about that, obviously we don't need decals. We don't need all kinds of things on it to bring attention to ourselves. Let's be professional. Make sure you're pressed, you're clean, you're neat, your shoes are polished, and so forth.
Please make sure, and Lenny, please make sure if you're going to wear the white soles. Okay, I don't have a problem with it, but it's clean. Okay, last thing I want to see is somebody's been wearing the white soles that are muddy and haven't been cleaned in 10 days. All right.
Okay, as Nick mentioned, the crew chief will conduct the pregame talk. The base umpires are not to make suggestions or comments unless otherwise asked. This will help ensure a more efficient and informative pregame. Following basics should be discussed. Again, when you're going to arrive on the field, you'll work with the site manager on that. The crew should walk an unfamiliar field. Absolutely. If you have some barriers or something that you're not sure of, you make sure you know that before you hit your pregame. Just as we do in basketball, watch them warming up. Look for jewelry. This is a big thing with me is the facial paint, the eye black. We don't want it streaking down the face. We don't want them looking like the Ultimate Warrior. One stripe across their eye shouldn't be any thicker than your middle finger. That's all it's required. That's all they need. And when you're reading that sportsmanship message and they tell you that they're properly equipped and uniformed, this should include jewelry and so forth. Okay, after your pregame, obviously you have positions to take at the pregame. Some places will have a national anthem. If so, this is your positions for the pregame. Coach and captain, 1 and 2 on each side. Your plate umpire obviously is in that position. There's U1 and U3, and you just slide down from those positions for the anthem. Obviously, you make sure you remove your hat. In between innings, the plate umpire is going to go to the side of the team coming off the field. U1 is between first and second, just on the outfield grass, and U3 is just the opposite between second and third. Self-explanatory.
Nick, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
What is the problem with the eye black?
It's against the rules, Nathan.
Okay.
In the rule book, it says a single solid line underneath the eye. No Ultimate Warrior. We had that came in about 2 years ago, so it's against the rules.
Okay. Just clarifying.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, as part of your pregame, some of the things that should be discussed are your communication signals. You're not a traffic cop. There's not 10 or 12 of them, but real simple. Here's the most important ones that you need to come up with. Obviously, on an infield fly, we touch the brim of your cap. Make sure that all 3 people see it. They're on the same page and they know that it could happen. Time play, very simple. You're touching your wrist as if you had a watch on. A possible rotation, point with both hands in the direction of the base you will be moving toward. Again, any of these signals, make sure that all 3 of you see them. Runners on first and second, the double tag up, get one fist on top of the other. A reverse for your rotation, U1 takes the batter to second base with runners on first and second, wave open hand behind the back. Okay, again, make sure everybody knows what's going on. Make sure you're all on the same page, communicate.
Okay, with the infield fly, we're going to do just like we do 2 men. Okay, the base umpire closest to the ball will take care of the determining whether it's an infield fly, and then the home plate umpire will call it loud enough so both benches hear, correct?
Yes, very good. Bench decorum, also very important. And this is something Andy has stressed for years. Make sure the teams follow the PIAA sportsmanship message. Make sure you are reading it word for word, and they acknowledge that they are properly dressed. First and third umpires are also to help police the dugouts. It's a fenced-in area. All players and coaches are to be behind the fenced-in area. Only one on-deck batter is permitted in the area at a time, not two or three swinging a bat. They shouldn't be coming out of the dugout, timing pitchers' pitches in between innings. Nothing like that is needed. No noisemakers in there. We don't want them beating on the fence, on the top of the fence if it's plastic to make noise. It's sportsmanship, period. It's their game. We understand that, but they're also going to play it. They're going to play it right, and they're going to play it with sportsmanship. Okay, umpires pregame talk. Again, it's very important, especially for those of you who don't normally work a three-man during the course of the season. I guess, again, look at the picture here, look at the diagram. Here's your field coverage with no runners or a runner on third base only. Okay, it breaks down pretty self-explanatory for you. And as Nick said, it will be sent to you, sent to your secretaries. You could print this out, take it to your pregame as a review. It's probably not a bad idea. Here's your plate umpire, your U1. Pretty self-explanatory again. Okay, here's his coverage. As the arrow indicates, we're splitting center field in half. Okay, his responsibility. Here's U3. Again, no different. We're splitting again center field in half. Communicate. The big thing is communicate. Make sure that this is part of your pregame and this is what you're doing.
And Lenny, we want that first base umpire having a center fielder forward and backwards, with nobody on, and a runner on third. Correct?
That is correct. Yes. Okay, field cover. Excuse me. The runners on first and second, first and third, or bases loaded. Okay, the pie changes a little bit, obviously. Okay. Again, the big advantage, in my opinion, having three-man is having that U1 at first base, be able to see pickoff plays, to be able to see that left-hander if his foot goes back behind the pitching plate. So it's a huge advantage. Use it to your advantage. Again, here's the pie. Here's the way it's broke down. Again, it's self-explanatory. Again, you need to communicate. If U1 is moving, if the third base umpire is coming in, if the plate umpire is coming in, verbalize with each other. Let each other know where you're at. You know, there will be situations where you don't always go by the book. Things might change, overthrows, what have you. Make sure that we communicate. You know, we call it a blarge in basketball. Make sure we don't have a safe out call. Again, U1, there's your arrow to the center fielder. Again, everything is broke down according to the diagram here. Take a look at it, review it before you get to the playoffs. Again, if the plate umpire wants to take it with them and review it, it's probably not a bad idea. U3 is inside, obviously. Again, if the plate umpire is coming up to help, you need to talk to him. You need to communicate on fly balls, tag plays, and so forth.
All right, and who's taking the center fielder forward and backwards here, Lenny? For U1 or U3?
I'm saying still U1 here.
Okay. All right.
Okay, basic position, excuse me, with no runners or a runner on third base. They're just back to their respective positions. Okay, and you go back to your respective responsibilities where you're splitting the center fielder and so forth. Again, the advantage here is throw down to third, you have an umpire there. You're not trying to guess from X amount of feet. Okay, runners on first and second, first and third, or bases loaded. U3 is coming in. And again, the big advantage again is you're maintaining an umpire at first base. Again, to see pickoffs, to see that left-hander with his foot and so forth. So again, it's a huge advantage. The only time that changes is when you have a runner at second or runner on second and third. And note with U1, he does not cross over the second base bag. He stays on the second base side of first base. But again, he has double coverage there as far as first and second is concerned. And you have somebody, U3, taking the runner into third base. Okay, again, U1 and U3 have their choice of position B or C when they're inside. My opinion on that is exactly the way you see them right now. U1, in my opinion, I'm more comfortable with it, should stay on the second base side, mainly because you already have an umpire on the other side. But if you're comfortable and it's part of your pregame, I'm fine with that. Okay, with runners on, with a runner or runners on second or second and third and 2 outs, U1 will move to his A position and U3 to the C position. Rationale behind it is the majority of the plays are going to be back to first base. He'll be able to get his 90-degree angle and have a better look at it going back to his normal position. Okay, basic number 3, the man rotation with no runners on, and we have an extra base hit. Where runners on first, U3 would always be inside. Runners on first and second tag up on a fly ball to left field. U3 would already be inside. Okay, so what it's telling you here is, you know, when you have an extra base hit, obviously U1 is watching him touch first base. U3 is cutting inside. You'll notice that the plate umpire now is sliding up because you might have multiple runners coming. U3 is coming in, watching him touch second base and having that responsibility. Now on a fly ball situation with U3 already being inside, he backs up a few steps. He's able to see the tag up. If the plate umpire is comfortable coming down to call that, that's fine. But again, that's got to be part of your pregame. You need to talk about that. Make sure you don't have a safe out call. Again, 3-man's a great advantage. Use it to your advantage.
Hey, one thing on that, Lenny, there's no rotation if the ball stays in the infield.
That is correct.
We're just staying in our positions. Okay, there's no rotation if the ball stays in the infield. So basically, just do what you need to do.
Okay, reverse rotation. Okay, this occurs with runners at first and second, first and third are bases loaded, and an extra base hit. Okay, it sounds a little confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Okay, you got multiples runners on, so you're going to be moving. Okay, this is where the plate umpire is going to come into play a little bit more. Multiple runners on, there's times when he's going to have to slide down to third base and help cover. Okay, if that is the case, then U1 obviously has to slide down and take the plate. We don't want him to jackrabbit back and forth. Again, with balls in the gap, you have your first responsibility to make sure all bases are touched, U1 and U3. Again, if U3 has a play at second, or there's a play at third first and then back to second, that's where the plate umpire should be. U1 needs to pay attention to this, make sure that he slides down in behind the plate umpire and covers him. Okay, what they're telling you on this is when U1 goes out, and we should go out on every fly ball, whether it's routine, whether we feel it's a trap, whether it's a line drive down the right or left field line, and we have to determine whether it's fair or foul. Every fly ball, U1 or U3 should be going, okay? And when they go, we revert back to a 2-man. Real simple. We just go back to a 2-man. And again, make sure that you're communicating. If U1 goes, U3 is going to slide in, and it's his baby. He's got the runner first base, touching first base with the plate umpire helping. He should slide down and look at that. U3's got him the second, U3's got him the third. Just the opposite. If U3 goes out, U1 becomes even more responsible. He slides in. Again, he's watching the base runner touch first base. That's second. If there's a play there, he has it. Or a play at third, he has it as well. Okay, again, you need to communicate. You You see your umpire's back, you know he's not coming back. So make sure you're in that diamond and you're paying close attention to that batter runner. And again, as I just had said, it reverts back to a 2-man. Okay, when just a little bit different animal here. When U3 goes out, when U1 is inside, nothing changes. He's going out. He's going to determine whether it's a good catch, whether the ball's down a line, whether it's fair or foul. U1 is going to have responsibility across the diamond. Really no difference here. Same thing, just as the opposite when U3 goes out. And what they're telling you, with a runner on third only, U1 would be on the first base line. And Andy and I actually talked about this earlier today. U1 would be on the first base line if U3 goes out and the runner tags on a fly ball, plate umpire stays home. U1 covers a runner if he returns to third. Andy and I talked about this, and after Andy discussed it with me, it makes more sense. U1's going to be cutting into the diamond anyway to watch this runner touch first base. So he's already there. So as if he spins and comes across the diamond, there shouldn't be any problem with him being able to cover runners. And if there's multiple runners on, obviously he's not going to get any help from the plate umpire. So at first, when I looked at this, it's awkward, but yet it's not. When you think about it, U1's coming in anyway. So that responsibility for him really isn't that big a deal. But the big thing, again, big take from it is every fly ball, we don't expect you to run like you're on fire and be 5 feet from the kid when he catches it. But go out, make a presentation, make your out or safe call, and very simply, you stay out. Okay, one last thing, Nick, I want to touch on before I turn it over to Andy. One of the things that Vince talked about, we don't forfeit games. If you have a situation where, we hope you don't have this, where bench is clear and there's a fight, you call Nick, you call Vince, you call Andy, you call somebody. They'll make that determination. They'll take it right out of your hands. You don't have to do it. And absolutely, do your best to get that game in. These young men and coaches work hard all year to get to the playoffs. It's an honor for them. Do your best to get it in. But keep in mind, if you have 4.5 in and home team is ahead, you do have a completed game. You get into the 6th inning and you can determine a winner. You have a completed game. It's not a suspended game. It's a completed game. So keep that in mind when you're umpire. Keep your eye on the weather, as Nick mentioned. And above all else, the most important thing is all strikes.
Lenny, one question.
Yes, sir.
With a man on third and if U3 goes out, who has the tag?
The plate umpire is going to have to slide over, get in an angle to see that, because obviously U1 is not going to be in to see that. The plate umpire is going to have to slide down in foul territory someplace and see that, and then a few steps back, and he's got to play at the plate.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Andy, it's all yours. Thanks,
Any other
guys, for your
questions?
time.
Any other questions? Hey, Lenny.
Yeah,
thank you
Lenny,
for-
do you want, with you three going out with a runner on third, do you want U1 still pivoting, or you just want him pushing into the working area?
No, I would definitely suggest that he pivot, because obviously he's still got batter runner responsibility. And he can't determine whether that ball is being caught or not. So he's still going to have batter runner responsibility. He doesn't want to stay at first base in case that ball's caught. Now he's trapped trying to get to second base and make that call.
I'm just saying that with you mentioned the potential back pick at third. So if he's going to be pivoting, who's going to get that back pick?
Repeat that, please.
You said that U1 is going to have that responsibility of the runner at third on a potential back pick. If he's pivoting, how are you going to get to that coverage area to get that call at third on
Okay,
a potential back pick?
Gary, you're taking a batter runner into third base. That U3 will stay out. Okay, the home plate umpire has the tag, has the tag at third. Okay, more likely than not that U3 is going to score. Okay, if not, okay, then and there's a play back. If there's a play back at third base, okay, then that home plate umpire is watching that tag, and if he sees that happen and he sees that runner not coming, I'd imagine that home plate umpire would be going down the line also.
I would agree with that, Nick, unless Andy wants to overrule that. Because again, U1 has got batter runner responsibilities.
Right.
And if the ball's being thrown around, who knows if it's going to be thrown back first base. So the plate
I'm not-
umpire is sliding up a little bit anyway. So,
I'm not talking about the batter runner lane. I'm just talking
and I'm
about.
talking about the runner third. The plate
Yeah, I'm talking
umpire is
about-
going to
Yeah,
slide
I'm
up.
talking about
That's gotta
R3.
be- Right.
Yeah. R3,
Yeah, no,
if there's a back play at R3, or there's a back play at third, I would imagine, and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, I would imagine that home plate umpire can help that, because now he doesn't have home plate responsibilities. But if you want him to go all the way over, Andy, that's up to you. That's up to you, as you're the state rules interpreter.
No, I don't make the rules and the mechanics up. It's what is in the National Federation Rule Book and Umpires Manual. But let me try to explain the reasoning quickly now. U3 goes out, he's not coming back.
Right.
We have a possibility of runner on third tagging on a fly ball with the plate umpire waiting at the plate where he's already determined if the runner tagged or not. And the plate umpire is waiting for him. If a throw comes to the plate and the runner stops and goes back to third, the third base umpire staying out,
It's gotta be U1, you're right.
the first base umpire should have come in, and the pivot is a very quick move, and it really doesn't even have to be a complete turnaround anymore. I think it's even suggested now that the base umpire, first base umpire can glance over his shoulder and see if the batter runner touches the base or not. But after the base umpire, first base umpire has seen that runner touch the base or not, he's going to open up and locate the ball right away. And it's then that he determines whether there's a possibility for a throwback behind a runner at third. And if he thinks there is, then he's going to keep moving and cut across the diamond and make that call. It rarely happens. I think in all the years that I've umpired, I've had to do it twice as a first base umpire, and I'm talking in 50 years. So that's the best explanation I can give on that.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, Andy, now you need to share your screen. Thanks, Lenny, for all your work on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick.
Can you hear me, Nick?
I can hear you. I don't see your screen yet, but I can hear you.
Okay, I am clicking on the
Hit
PowerPoint.
green. Okay, yeah, click on the PowerPoint presentation.
I am, and I'm not getting
Hey,
anything.
wait, all right, hit share screen down the bottom, Andy. Down the bottom here, the green share, we go. Okay, it's
Okay.
coming out. All right. It's all yours, Andy.
All right, here we go. Welcome to this presentation, everyone. Looks like we have 85 or so people, which is a great turnout, and I hope everybody gets assignments. I'm going to handle the four-man system of umpiring, which we won't use in the WPIAL until the finals, and also in the, do we use them in the play-in games?
Yes, the consolations, because it's the first round of the state.
Okay, so we will.
Yep, we will have them.
We'll have them used there also. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can. As I'm working through this, please write down any questions that you might have, and we'll do the best we can to answer them after my presentation. So we have the four-man system of umpiring. On this slide here, we have two of my favorite baseball pictures and photos. The two on the left and right are me umpiring a game some years ago, and that's not my favorite. My favorite photo is the one that's in the center here. You have a plate umpire. I don't know if you could recognize him. I don't know if he would want me to everyone his name, but I'm going to tell you his name, Mario Seneca. And this is a game, I don't know if it was a playoff game or not, up at North Allegheny. He's the plate umpire. You have a North Allegheny runner scoring, you have a runner going to first base, and you do have another runner on base. And Mario's just standing there in a relaxed position, looking over the field. At this time, he has no responsibilities. He's just enjoying where he is and what he's doing. And I hope that all of you, when you get into these 3- and 4-man games, do exactly the same thing. If you don't have responsibilities, just relax and enjoy what you're doing and where you are. So we can continue with our slides. Nick, how do I get rid of the pictures over on the side? I got them. Okay. Now this presentation will cover the following topics. An umpire's pregame talk, communication signals, field coverage, rotations, special situations, which is the most important thing here, I think, right now, and handling explanation and arguments. I'm going to try to do this without repeating much of what Lenny gave to us a few minutes ago. The umpire pregame talk here, Lenny did mention this, but I want to add to it here. The crew chief will conduct the pregame talk. And base umpires are not to make suggestions or comments unless asked. This will help ensure a more efficient, this is the important part, it will help ensure a more efficient and informative pregame. It will keep everybody on task. Get into situations where when the crew chief is giving his pregame talk, the other guys want to try to show each other how much they know about the 4-man system. Before you know it, you don't have time to get through everything that you need to get through. So let the crew chief do his job, and if time allows, then you can discuss some of the things that you wanted to interject when he was going through his suggestions. The pregame talk should include the following. The position that you're going to take during the national anthem. And you can see U1, U2, and U3's position out in front of the plate, facing the plate umpire, who is facing the center field flag post. And positions during the national anthem. If the flag is in center field, that's how our umpires would be lined up with the plate umpire and U2 in the middle of the other 2 umpires. If the flag is in another position on the field somewhere, just turn in a line, stand at attention, please, during the national anthem, no hands in your pockets, and you should have your hand over your heart, and that's your hand, not your cap. So if you're holding your cap, put it in your left hand, put your right hand over your heart. If you do have to hold your cap in your right hand, then put it between a couple fingers and then put the rest of them over your heart. You'd be surprised how many veterans notice that. If you are a veteran, you may keep your hat on and salute, whichever you prefer. Now, umpire positioning between innings, you can see U1, U2, and U3 in their outfield positions, similar to the 3-man system with the extra umpire out there, though. The plate umpire is either going to be on the first base side or the third base side. In either position, he's going to hustle the teams on and off the field. Now, if what I like to do is stay away from trouble. Usually you want to be on the side away from where the pitcher is leaving the mound and heading toward his dugout. So if he's in the third base dugout, you would want to be on the first base dugout. You don't want to have him cross right near you and be able to take a shot at you and possibly cause problems there. And I'm not saying that's written in stone. Sometimes you have problems with other players, maybe in the other dugout, in that case, you would want to switch over to whichever foul line is going to keep you away from trouble. Please remember that. And above all else, hustle the teams on and off the field. Now, two umpires may get together for conversation, but never after controversy. So if you've got a close play somewhere, or if you've had to get together to change a call or to help each other, at the end of that inning, you would not want to get together with your friend. Just stay away from each other. And later, 2 or 3 innings from there, you can get together and maybe talk about something that you have to get in. And with no runners on base or a runner on third base and a right-handed hitter, U2 is going to be on the left field side of second base. With a left-handed hitter, he would be over on the right field side. Now, and there is an exception. With a runner on third only, the outfield umpire U2 will stay on the third base side and in a shallow position. That's because if U3 goes out on a fly ball and U3's tagging and maybe returns, then we get into that situation we discussed a few minutes ago. In this case, it's a lot easier where U2 can get in there and make that call at third. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention is that U2 does not have to be in the power alley of the hitter, which would be left field for a right-hander and right field for a left-hander. Sometimes, if you get a pitcher that's throwing hard, throwing fast, and above 85, 90, and hitters are late, then you might want to move over to the other side with a right-handed hitter. It's just a feeling that you a gut feeling that determines where you're going to be out there. With runners on first, second, or bases loaded, I'm kind of stammering here a little bit because I can't see the top of my screen, and I can't quite see everything that's up there. But what we have is U1, U3, U2 would be in position as shown. U2 could be on the third base side or on the second base, first base side as he's used to. He has a choice. Usually I'm on this side here because I seem to be out of the way of things that might be happening and get me in a better position to get the steal at second base. With no runners or runner on third, what we have in field coverage here is the plate umpire is going to take the area that's shaded here. Basically, that's everything that's in front of the other 3 umpires. U1 is going to take the area from the right fielder over to the out of play fence. And this would be the right fielder clearly moving towards his foul line. If the right fielder's not moving much, then it's going to be U2's call. U3, it's the same area on his side of the field. He'll have the left fielder clearly moving towards the left field line and everything in the area that's illustrated there. U2 has everything between the left fielder and right fielder, and anything that's hit at the right fielder or left fielder or them moving in or back in that shaded area. Now, if the right fielder, left fielder clearly move away towards the foul line, then U1 and U3 are going to take over that position. And U2 naturally has the 3 outfielders coming in and going back. Now, with any combination of runners, except the runner on third only, the plate umpire is going to have the area that's illustrated, shaded in here. Again, it's basically everything that's in front of the three base umpires. You two will have anything that's in that shaded area. That would be in front of the shortstop or second baseman, or the third baseman coming at him, or the first baseman coming at him. U1 has shaded area, U3 has this shaded area, and then we have U1 with the center fielder coming in and back. Umpire movement with no runners and a base hit. We have with a right-handed hitter, U2 slides in and gets into position for a possible call second base. If he's on the other side, he would cut in and get into position this way. Now, the one thing you have to be careful of, and what is suggested when U2 cuts in from the outfield, you should not cut in and place yourself between on the line of the throw. You should stay away from that line. So if the left fielder is making a throw to second base, you would want to cut in to get into position between first base and second base, not between second base and third base, because you're cutting through that line of the throw. Umpire movement with no runners, and we have a ball hit to the outfield in U2's area. He's going to go out to get an angle. You don't have to go out too far, but get an angle that's going to give you a side view of the catch. U1's going to go into a pivot position, cover second base if there is a mix-up. But I mean by that is sometimes U3 and U2 will both go out on a ball that's right at a fielder. And that's why I said before, we want U2 to be taking the ball unless the fielder is clearly going towards the foul lines. But sometimes there are mix-ups, and if there is, U1 is going to take that runner into second base. U3 is going to normally cover second and stay. The plate umpire is going to cover third on that extra base hit. And U1, after that should be the plate umpire instead of U1. That's an error there. Nick, did you change this when I gave it to you? No. But it should be the plate umpire with U1 taking the play at the plate. And by the way, when U1 comes in to take this play at the plate, he should get in the same position as if he were the plate umpire to make this call, which would be in that wedge position on the tracks. If you have seen that video that places an umpire in a very good position to make calls at the plate. Umpire movement, there are no runners, and U1 goes out. We have him getting a good angle. The plate umpire follows the runner up the line. He watches the play. He takes the runner touching first base, and we'll get back to the plate if that runner eventually tries to score. U2 will take all plays at second, and U3 will stay at third. And a good position for U3 to be in is in the second to third base line extended. I'm positive that's the position they want that third base umpire in now. More umpire movement. If there are no runners and U3 goes out, he gets his angle. U2 cuts in. U1 watches the batter runner make the corner there, turn the corner. Plate umpire will move to third. And first base umpire will come in and cover the plate. We have you two being inside. He'll be inside with any combination of runners, except a runner on third only. In that case, we place him over in that position in a shallow left field outline grass there, grass outline between second and third. And from this position, Lenny mentioned this before, you two will never go out. The outfield is going to be covered by U1 and U3, with U1 having the center fielder coming in and out. And here's one thing I don't see enough of. When U1 goes out, U2 has to slide over and watch the batter runner touch his base. And the same thing, when U3 goes out, U2 has to slide over if there's going to be a possible play at third base. It's his cover in a lot of situations there. But what I'm trying to illustrate here is that U2 has to be very active in his center position of the diamond, moving towards first base, towards second base, and towards third base whenever it's necessary. Don't stand in one position and spin in one spot. Runners on first and second, tag on a fly ball, and U3 goes out. He's telling his umpires he's going out. U2 stays at second and watches the tag up. Plate umpire moves towards third. And if there's a possible play, I have him move covering third base. He's going to be in that same position that we said U3 would be in on a play at third, which would be the line from second to third base extended. It gives you a good view of any tags on either side of third base there. And then our first base umpire watches a tag up at first base and then moves in to cover the plate. All bases are covered. And again, with U2 where he is, there's a possibility in some situations where there might be a play back at first base. It would be U2's responsibility. It's where he has to move to cover the space that's been vacated by his first base umpire. With U2 inside and a runner on second only tagging on a fly ball, and U3 goes out. U2 stays at second and watches the tag up, then moves to third with the runner. Same as two-man, just move to a position. Now you would not be running towards third base. You would be running more towards a point that's halfway between third base and home plate so that you get an angle at that play at third base. U1 watches the batter touch first and takes him to second if U2 goes to third. Runner on third, U3 goes out, the runner returns. So we've got that angle. The runner starts towards the plate, decides to go back. The plate umpire, the plate umpire watched third base runner tag on a fly ball. And then U2 would take all plays at third base, which hardly ever happen. But if it does, it would be U2's call. And it's a lot easier than the three-man system where U1 has to come all the way across. In this case, U1 is going to watch a batter touch and take him to second if he goes to second. And we get to communication and signals. Lenny went through these: time play, force play slide rule, which is the palm of one hand down the opposite arm. I never see anybody use this, but it is a possibility to keep each other alert to that. Possible rotation, point with both hands in the direction of the base you will be covering. In a double tag rotation, the plate umpire will bump the fists together with the top index finger pointing to third base. Things to keep in mind: when an umpire goes out, he stays out. The other three umpires revert to the three-man system. Now, talk to each other. Tell someone when you're leaving one position to get to another. The plate umpire has fair foul calls up to the front edge of the bag when U1 and U3 are on the lines. While it's on my mind, these fair foul calls, I've been out to see quite a few games this season. I'm not umpiring on the field anymore. And what I have seen is umpires are pointing foul on foul balls and then raising the hands to kill the play, kill the ball. That's not the proper mechanic. There is no pointing on a foul ball. Just raise the hands and call foul ball. You do point on the fair ball, and that's the only thing you do is point, and maybe in a very low voice, tell the catcher if it's close that it is a fair ball. Check swings are by right-handed hitters are handled by U1 and left-handed hitters by U3. These are situations, force play slide rule. Now, do not be overly protective of the fielder. We've discussed this in the past. Look for contact and or altering of the play. So if a runner slides a little bit out of his straight line to second base, we're not going to be picky and call a second out on something that happened at second base. It had no bearings on the runner or the play being made on the runner at first base. So don't get too picky on the force play slide rule. Now, sometimes if a runner goes way out of his way towards the fielder, we have no choice. Just be careful on making this call. Collisions, they're possible when the ball and the runner arrive at the same time. But not, and we're not going to call malicious contact or obstruction, anything like that, when those two things arrive at the same time. We're going to be careful to not permit runners to deliver a blow, and that becomes malicious contact. But collisions are possible. Remember that. Obstruction, fielders are not to block the path of a runner unless they have possession of the ball. We want to be careful that we don't allow first baseman to block first base on pickoff throws and shortstops and second baseman to not block second base on pickoff throws. Runners must have access to the bag. Box. This is a responsibility of all four umpires. If you see a balk, call a balk. If one umpire calls a balk, the others should call time. My reasoning there is sometimes you don't see the balk that another umpire calls. If you're third base umpire and the first base umpire calls a balk, the coach in the third base box is going to come to you at third base and ask you what the pitcher did, and you lessen the chances of that happening if you call time instead of balk. So there's only one balk call and 3 time calls. Batter hit by a pitch. Hitters must attempt to get out of the way. Do not permit hitters to chase the ball with the body part. Now, do give the batter the benefit of the doubt if the pitch is thrown in the batter's box. You're always going to have problems with that call, but just make sure that the hitters attempt to get out of the way and don't permit them to chase the ball with a body part. Appeals, missed base or leaving too soon. Each umpire is responsible for appeals made at his base. Now, if an umpire goes out, he has no appeal responsibilities. The appeals at his base will be determined by the umpire rotation. Now, always make contact with your partner before you make an appeal call or handle an appeal call at a base that's not yours. Now, a live ball appeal may be made by a defensive player with the ball in his possession, by touching the base, or by tagging the runner. Dead ball appeals may be made verbally by a coach or any defensive player. It's a good rule. I think it avoids a lot of problems. Now, umpires' mechanics on appeal plays. In normal appeal situations, it's advisable to call time at the end of playing action. So if you have a runner leading early or a runner missing a base, and you see that there's going to be an appeal or hear that there's going to be an appeal, the ball comes into the infield, call time, and simply ask the team, what do you want to do? Or if the pitcher takes the ball, gets back on the rubber because he doesn't know that he can make a dead ball appeal, just ask him what he wants to do. We don't want fielders throwing the ball around, runners running bases when teams are trying to make appeal. So it's my advice that you call time at the end of playing action when you have a pretty good hunch there's going to be an appeal play. Now, the NFH mechanic, when a runner misses home plate, and I'm talking about a play where there's usually contact. The ball and the runner both arrive at the same time, and the runner tries to avoid the tag, and he goes around or over home plate, doesn't touch it. The catcher may or may not know that he didn't touch it, and then we're in a situation as an umpire where we're standing there. And in this case, what we're going to do is not make any type of signal nor say anything until the runner returns and touches the plate. In that case, since he hasn't been tagged by the catcher, we would give a safe signal. Or the catcher tags the runner or touches the plate. In that case, we would give an out signal. Now, when that catcher tags the runner or touches the plate, he's going to look at you, and that in itself is a form of an appeal. So that's why we do make a safer out call in this situation. Now, the NFHS mechanic, when a runner misses first base, and again, it's the type of play when it happens. Here's how it happens: you have a throw to first base, a runner going to first base. The first baseman has to reach or move his body in front of first base, in front of the runner at first base, and there might be a little bit of a collision, or the runner tries to avoid the first baseman and he runs over the bag. And we're in the same position as we were at home plate, where the first baseman doesn't know that the kid has missed second. And what we're going to do in this case here is the base umpire is to signal a soft, safe sign and say nothing until an additional action is made by either player. So something may or may not happen. If the first baseman thinks that the runner missed first base, he's going to touch first base and probably look at you. That's a formative appeal. You could call the runner out if he missed the base. And if the runner hustles back to first base, and you can then give a safe signal. So we cannot argue and discuss this all night and never agree on how this is to be handled. But we're in Pennsylvania, we use the National Federation Mechanics book, and that's the suggestion that they're giving us right now. Okay, weather. This has been mentioned already. Err on the side of safety. If there is lightning or thunder, pull the teams off the field for 30 minutes. Now we have lightning detectors. We have telephones with or cell phones with radar on them. We can use all those devices to get the teams off of the field. We cannot use any of those devices to get them back on the field. We have to wait the required 30 minutes, even if radar shows that the storm is out of the area. Now, since regular season rules for suspending games or ending games are in effect, if it's raining, do not play beyond the 4th inning. This will help avoid games shortened by weather, which almost always end with controversy. So don't try to squeeze a game in. You never know what's going to happen that might get you in trouble for calling a game where a team had a chance to come back and win. And as Nick, Vince both said, these teams work all season long to get into the playoffs. They deserve 7 innings to try to win a ball game. Make sure the teams follow the PIA sportsman message. The first and third base umpires are to police the dugouts. And I put this diagram in again to kind of explain it a little bit more. Now, if we're at a field, and I don't think there are very many of them anymore, that do not have fencing in front of the dugout. What I'm saying is if there is only a dugout, then all players and coaches have to remain in the dugout or in the area that's on the outfield side of the dugout. Only on-deck hitters would be permitted closer to the plate than the dugout is. With fields that do have a fence across the front of the dugout, players and coaches would be allowed out of the dugout in that area that's in front of the fence or behind the fence. And even if they're sitting on buckets or chairs, it doesn't matter. They're permitted in that area, and none of the fielders can get to that area, so everybody's protected. But we will not let them sneak into the area that's closer to home plate on the home plate side of the dugout. Only the on-deck hitter would be permitted to be there. And then what we're going to have, as mentioned before, the first and third base umpires are going to police the dugouts. The plate umpire has enough to worry about. In fact, we all have enough to worry about. We shouldn't have to be policing the dugouts by now. We just can't get our umpires to be uniform in policing dugouts the way the book has us do it.
Hey, Andy, I know 2 fields that we use pretty regularly, Plum and Montour, to have that fenced in area where coaches tend to try to move down into that area where the on-deck batter should be. That should be a no-no at both places.
Just keep them out of there politely. Don't make it a big thing, but make it a big thing. They can't be there. So your umpires may have let you here all season, but this is the playoffs, and I'm not going to advance if I let you sit where you are. It's that's what you tell them. Now, coaches are entitled to ask for clarifications and explanations if they approach you with respect and do not abuse the privilege. If they're every close play and they're coming out on you, you want to halt that as soon as you can. Now, they are entitled to ask for clarifications and explanations, but the exception is balls and strikes. We don't let them do that. Now, if they do come out, it's a one-on-one situation. If you're one of the umpires not in the discussion, police the area. Keep other coaches and players away from the discussion. When you are in your discussion, don't shout. If the coach is shouting, you settle him down before any type of conversation continues. Don't point, do not touch, and do not prolong the discussion. A short discussion is probably going to eliminate an ejection. You handle yourself carefully. And I can't see, I couldn't tell you how many times I see a coach start walking away after a discussion, and then the coach looks over his shoulder and says something, and then continues walking away, and the umpire says something, the coach comes back, and we end up with an ejection. Sometimes you have to let the coach have the last word. Just between it's between the two of you. So let him go. Now do your best to utilize the PIAA 3-tier ejection process. But that process is a combination of hand signals and little verbal warnings, like third base coach starts walking towards you on ball and strike, just put your hand up. That's all. He'll see that you mean for him to stop. Or you could turn to the dugout and say, "That's enough, guys. I don't want to hear it." Just little verbal things. That's your first tier. Second tier would be your restriction to the bench. A written warning with restriction to the bench, and we all have a line, and if the coach or player crosses that line, eject him. Now, do not forfeit a game, suspend the game. This will allow administrators to decide the consequences subject to the rules of the game. And what happens here is we get into a situation where maybe the fans become unruly, and for some reason you think it's not safe for the umpires or for the players to be on the field, then that's a situation where you would suspend the game. But we will never forfeit a game. Now, if you're approached by anyone after the game for an explanation or an interview.
Andy,
Yes.
hold on. The suspending of the game, make sure you involve the game management in that too. All right, we're not doing it on our own, but we're gonna make sure that whoever the game manager is, there'll be a WPL game manager there. If the WPL game manager can't take care of it, then we will suspend it. All right, but let the WPL game manager try to take care of it first. All right. Okay.
Okay, we're good with it. I think that was mentioned before. Yes. So as I was saying, if you're approached by anyone for an explanation or an interview, decline and refer them to the site manager or the WPIL. I can't tell you how many times I've had grandmothers come to me after a game wanting an explanation of a call I made or a disadvantage that I placed their grandson in, whatever it might be. But try to get away, keep away from them. Well, thank you for your attention. Have a great game. And as I always say, remember, if you're the plate umpire, call strikes. And I have just one other comment. I made it at the beginning of this presentation. Get into that relaxed position where you're watching a ball game and just enjoying the moment that you're getting on the field. And other than that, my presentation is over, and I'm going to get the screen back to Nick and possibly answer any questions that we might have.
Hey, Andy, this is Henry Frangel from Lawrence County. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Home run ball, player hits a home run out of the park. The
Hey,
batter,
dead ball.
dead ball. The batter runner misses home plate. He jumps over top of it, misses home plate. Are we to give that batter a chance to complete his base running duties and give him an opportunity to come back and touch that? Or and do we put the ball in play immediately? Do we have to put a ball in play again before we can honor an appeal? Can you talk about the how we handle that situation?
Just handle it as if he had scored. You don't do anything, and hopefully the team, the defensive team will notice it and they'll make some form of an appeal. But you don't do anything differently than you normally would had he touched the plate.
Yeah, but do we honor a dead ball appeal? So as soon as the coach asks for it,
Right.
we grant it, even if that player has just passed home plate and not reached the dugout area yet or out of play area yet.
Yeah, there's no time that's allowed for a runner to do that. Now, there is a time that we do not let him do that, and that is if the dead ball, we get a dead ball after he has missed that base. But no, there's no time.
Okay.
And there's going to be a natural amount of time there. The coach is going to have to decide that he wants to make the appeal, and he's going to say, hey, ump, I want to appeal the runner missing home base. So that in itself gives the runner time to get back. If you see a runner has missed the base and you see him trying to get back to the plate, then you're going to be there watching that runner. You're not going to be listening to a coach who wants to make a dead ball appeal. You handle things as they happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Andy, Rick Gabriel, Lawrence County PI official. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, but you're not allowed to say anything tonight because you talk too much.
Wow.
No, I only say that because I consider you a good friend.
Thank you, sir. On that runner going over first base and missing it, and they're going to appeal, but you're telling us to make a soft, safe call.
Yes.
But then once we make that soft, safe call and come back, and then they appeal it that he missed it, now we're changing a call. I thought we were always told not to make a call, safe or out, unless they make the appeal. Will that cause a?
Yeah, like I said, we don't want to discuss this very much, but simply the mechanic is to give a safe signal, not an emphatic one, just to stretch your arms out a little bit and then wait for things to happen. And that's the way it's done in high school baseball. No matter which way you do it, if you stand there and do nothing, or if you stand there and give a safe signal, you're tipping off something has happened. Same thing at the plate. They want the umpire to stand there and do nothing. Well, he's tipping off everybody that something happened. So just handle it by the book. A soft, safe at first base and nothing at home plate. I hope that helps. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, and a couple other things, guys. Andy, thank you very much. Appreciate it. This will not count towards a meeting. You've only had 4 meetings all year that you had to attend. That question was asked. Basically, you could have attended a meeting when the rules interpretation meeting was. You could have done the test online and got another one. Then you would only had to attend 2 more meetings, so you do not get credit for tonight's meeting. The last thing I want to talk about is this. Like Andy, I've been out to watch a lot of games, or I watch a lot of games on Trib Live. eye black, we still have a rule about this, take care of it. Enough said. Okay? I don't know how many times I see pitchers and players with the eye black down below their cheeks almost to their mouth. Okay, please take care of it. On deck batter or batters, Lenny mentioned this. I'm seeing way too many on deck batters when we're changing innings out there trying to time that pitcher. Okay, one guy's allowed on deck batter. Okay, even when the game's going on, I'm seeing guys, two or three guys on the on deck circle. You know, it's at some sites. Again, we're only allowing one on deck batter. And if you think that area is not safe for that on deck batter, you could move that on deck batter too. We already talked about dugout extensions and ball in jug sitting. Okay, do not allow it. Okay, if I'm at a game and I see coaches sitting on jugs outside the dugout, if I see players sitting on jugs outside the dugout, I can guarantee you what, you and I are going to have a conversation. Okay, jewelry is a no-no. Okay, we ask if all teams are properly equipped, legally and properly equipped according to National Federation high school rules. Make sure that they are. All right, bottom line, make sure that they are. All right, uniforms. Too many times I see uniforms and coaches, okay, come out there with the coaches at least need to have the same color pants on. All right, I don't care what they wear on top, but they at least should have the same color pants on. Okay, but coaches in high school baseball are supposed to be in uniforms. They're not supposed to be wearing sweatpants. They're not supposed to be wearing a Notre Dame jacket if it's Bethel Park. Okay, please make sure those uniforms are in accordance to the National Federation High School rules. Home plate umpire movement. I've seen way too many games this year where our home plate umpires think they're stuck in the mud behind home plate. All right, once we move to the next level, home plate umpires must move. Okay, they must run down a quarter of the way down first baseline on any ground ball because they've got to make sure that they're making that call on that 45-foot line. All right, I don't want home plate umpires to be stationary behind home plate. And then dugout noise, take care of it. First and third base umpires, take care of the dugout noise. If they're going whoop, 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 whoop when the pitcher's warming up, well, guess what? They're aiming it at the pitcher. They're not cheering on their own player. They're cheering on their own player. I got no problem with it. But if they're doing something derogatory to the team out in the field, or somebody's yelling boot from the dugout on a ground ball, that's something you guys need to take care of. Any questions on that? Okay, lastly.
Hey, Nick, I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, the eye black, the teams, they be warming up for pregame and they be having their eye black and they say it sweats down the bottom of their cheek. How do we address that?
Tell them to take it off, BB. You know that. Tell them to take
I understand
it off.
that. Do we take it? I mean, I understand that. They wipe it and it's still be there. Wipe it down or wipe it across. So I'm like trying to, I've been through it all year this year.
Wipe it off. Tell them to wipe it off and reapply it. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, Vince, for attending. Any other questions? Please don't hesitate to call either your rules interpreter or Lenny or Andy or me, and we'll move on from there. And please block your dates. These will be off to your secretaries and on the WPL Arbiter site. Thank you for attendance, and please, the home plate umpires, please call strikes. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good evening.